Is there a sports podcast in Detroit that people are talking about?
Hey, everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Doc and Jock, the longest-running weekly episodic podcast dedicated to Detroit sports. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. My cousin is not here. Adam the Jock Strozinski is vacationing in Jamaica this week, having a good old time, sipping on the cervezas, enjoying the nice weather on a destination wedding. So I said, okay, who do I want to hang out with and share an hour talking about Detroit sports and other things as well? But my guy, Vito, of course. Vito Churko's here. Welcome, Doc and Jock.
Thank you much. Of course I'm here. And I would like to describe myself as the sexier, smaller option, though, than Adam Strozinski.
Oh, yeah?
For the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, at least. A little bit shorter than Adam Strozinski, but I think I'm capable of providing some insight just like the Jock does.
If Adam wasn't here, there was only really one other person I wanted to talk to, share this hour with. And this podcast, we got a stacked podcast. Episode 199, Vito. We're 1 week away. 200 Doc and Jock podcasts. And we're not talking about 200 overall, 200 consecutive Thursdays talking about Detroit sports, ranting and raving, having a good old time. And, the Doc and Jock podcast, is near and dear to my heart because that's the one that started off this whole network. We've been having a good old time and we've been consistent with it. And, it's great to have the people like you joining the network and doing podcasts. And I can call upon you really to do anything. So it's all fun. And doing this podcast with you, I'm really looking forward to it. We got a stacked podcast this week. Greg Kampe, newly inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted later on this year. He'll join the podcast to share his thoughts regarding the news. And Branden Hunter, freelance writer, will join us as well. Looking forward to the conversation regarding high school sports and other things. But Vito, I wanted to really kick off this conversation with you, not sports related. I had an opportunity over Memorial Day weekend to really kind of put down the phone, not really focus too much on sports. I had an opportunity to spend time with family that visited in town, and I did something that I hadn't really done in a long time. And I was thinking to myself, man, when we get so busy in life, with working, with trying to meet your goals in terms of the podcast, with the practice, with other ventures that I'm into, I didn't really have a chance to sit down with people, have a beer, light up a bonfire, and just shoot the breeze. So for me, Friday, Saturday, Monday was largely spent engaging in nice conversation. And I know people will say, look, people talk all the time. You need to stop burying your head in your phone, dedicating yourself to sports. But I really enjoyed just kind of having a nice weekend, talking to people. And it made me think like, wow, that's why people take vacations. That's why people enjoy Memorial Day holidays. So for me, I spent it enjoying company, sharing laughs, cracking jokes, interacting with family, drinking beer, making fun of the Tigers. So that's how I spent Memorial Day weekend. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fun. And the weather cooperated, I think, at least half the time. So it was a nice, pleasant weekend. How did you enjoy your Memorial Day?
I had my dad's side of the family on Sunday, barbecue that I went to. And Monday, Memorial Day, actually, I spent it over a family friend's house. And we played spike ball, which I had never played before.
What's spike ball?
It involved a smaller ball, very tiny ball. And it wasn't a hard ball. What you would do with it is that you had a platform, a smaller platform in a circular shape that you had to bounce the ball off of. And it was similar in that sense because it had like a net, the net of a volleyball net. And that was the net that this small little bouncy platform featured. So when you hit the ball off of it, the ball would fly off of it and you had teams of two people. So you would have to try to keep it up in the air and or keep it going off of that bouncy platform. Keep it bouncing off of that with your teammates' help. So it had to be that kind of thing where you needed the chemistry with your teammate kind of to know where you're going to place it. But it was hard for me first time playing it, to judge where it was going to go. It kind of just took off at times. And you could hit it at the other people like volleyball. You're trying to get it over the net. You have to hit this platform to have the ball bounce off, and it can go to the opponent. So you hit it. You hit it to the opponent first. Let me make that known. But it has to be a solid serve. It's about serving it as you would in volleyball over the net. It has to hit the platform for it to be a solid serve, to go to the other side, to the opponent. Then they can hit it back. They hit it at you. And at that point, when they hit it back to you, you can actually hit it up to your teammate and kind of set up your teammate for a spike. So it's very similar, right? Very similar to volleyball in that regard.
How competitive were you? Were you guys effective? Did you guys win some games?
It was very hard for me to get used to it. Because for me, I had never played it. So getting used to the rules, like I even said some of the rules wrong. I know I had to readjust there on the fly, just telling you right now, because I'm very much a virgin when it comes to spike ball. I don't know if it's for me. So I'll tell you this much. With that being said, I wasn't very competitive. But I wasn't very seriously into it. I was getting used to it. Maybe I would play it again, but I would need some lessons or something, some practice, because I did not have the right techniques down when I played it on Monday.
But overall, your Memorial Day was nice. You enjoyed the day off?
Well, was barbecuing? I love sausage. I love Italian sausage, and I love sausage, baby. Any kind of sausage grilled, but really on a grill. I love anything grilled, including hamburgers too, but especially sausage. Also, spent with family and friends. How can it be any better? The weather wasn't too bad. It rained a little bit on Monday, on Memorial Day. That kind of dampened the mood a little bit. But then we went inside. We enjoyed ourselves, lounging downstairs at my uncle's house, eating, once again, good barbecued food. And for me, when you have that combination of barbecued food and then also time spent with family and friends, you can't beat that combination. I don't know about you, but for me, you can't beat that combination, Doc.
Are you a bonfire guy? Do you enjoy sitting around a fire, making s'mores, drinking beers, enjoying the company of friends?
Drinking cervezas. And I've been around bonfires. It's been a while since I was really around a bonfire, though. It's been probably since later on in college. I think I did one. It was around one with friends during the summer. And that's what it's all about, right? During the summer season, you go out there with friends or family. You spend the time around a bonfire late at night. And what's better than drinking some cervezas, maybe, eating some marshmallows and, s'mores. I know a lot of kids like s'mores. I don't get into s'mores. I don't love it, but obviously throwing a few back, I'll do that around a bonfire.
It seems like for me, I'm more of the opinion that there was a lot of stores when I was driving around because, for me, always procrastinating, getting myself in trouble. So I wanted to smoke hookah with the bonfire. It's widely popular now. If you drive around Metro Detroit, you're going to find a hookah shop. It's just it's a form of entertainment. It's a form of smoking that is really entertaining for a lot of Middle Easterners and now a bunch of other people as well. But of course, I didn't have the tobacco. So I'm driving around. There were actually quite a bit of liquor stores open, restaurants open. And for me, I kind of was thinking to myself as I was driving, you know what? I really enjoyed Labor Day. Labor Day is kind of like the last hurrah in terms of the summer. For me, Memorial Day kind of seems like a holiday that's maybe a little bit too soon. I need it maybe in June, maybe the middle of June. That way you can have a celebration in June, then prepare for the 4th of July. It just seems like the end of May is not really, in Michigan, a great time to kind of have a Memorial Day celebration, don't you think?
To celebrate the summer? It's not summer-ish enough for you? You want something closer to the 4th of July, where you're celebrating kind of back-to-back, more consecutively or just continuously, right? So you want that kind of vibe. You don't get that vibe from Memorial Day. Even though it's the official, kind of the official, non-official, right? Non-official start of the summer for a lot of people. And when it's nice out, especially, it is.
Yeah, I see a lot of people's Instagram posts and their Facebook posts. They get out on the water, they jet ski, they spend a lot of time having fun outdoors. But you got to remember, look, you said it. On Monday, it was it didn't really get nice until 6:30, right? You try to plan something. We didn't set up the bonfire until at least 7:30 when everything dried up. It was weird because we had out-of-town relatives, and they were looking at it what's going on? The sun is bright, and it's still raining. And we were looking at it. It was raining. Then it would start again. So from about 4 till about 6, it was on and off spit, right? A little bit of rain here and there. So you really couldn't get your night kicked off. If you had to work the next day on Tuesday, it kind of ruined your day in that you're trying to plan it out. So for me, I think Friday was a great day. The weekend was a little bit better than the actual day itself. So for me, the way I look at it is Memorial Day isn't placed at the right time, especially with how the weather's been in Michigan. You'd rather maybe have it in June. So it's just...
Well, usually, around June, that's around my birthday. So it's going to be nice weather. Because I talk to the big guy upstairs. I say, hey, you got to make it nice for my birthday. So then he does. He just follows through all the time with me, at least. I don't know about you for your birthday, but he does for me, typically.
So in social gatherings, I notice for me, I'm more passive. I like to listen a lot more, kind of see the vibe of the conversation, kind of get into what people are talking about, and then kind of chime in sarcastically or tell some jokes or tell my version of the story or whatever I want to talk about. But this time around, I kind of felt myself just getting a little bit more assertive, and I was thinking, like, yeah, this podcast has really helped me just kind of find a voice socially and just talk about whatever and not really care what I'm saying. And so we had laughs, we were sarcastic, we were talking about my cousin going off to Oakland University. She's going to be a freshman next fall. And she was kind of asking, some questions about the town and where she can go hang out. And
we're not to hang out. You told her that, right?
So, yeah, she was talking about, obviously going to Rochester, Royal Oak. She thought about going downtown. And we said, yeah, you could go downtown. But if you were, downtown's going to be really expensive. You're just going to want to hang out in Rochester and Royal Oak.
That's where it's expensive. You just said where it's expensive is downtown Detroit. Rochester and Royal Oak are expensive, mightily expensive at times.
But don't you think you can find reasonable prices? But if you go downtown in the evening hours, you're going to find super expensive restaurants. If you work, you can kind of afford to go out at least a little bit and have some, nice dinners and nice times in the area, don't you think?
Well, yeah, the thing is, what are you blowing your money on? Well, I guess she's not old enough to blow it on alcohol, or at least should not be blowing it on alcohol yet. So that's the key as well. And it's funny you bring that up. A cousin of yours that's going to OU. I have a family friend that's going to Detroit Mercy, Metro Series rivals, and we'll talk to Greg Kampe about Oakland, right, in a little bit, too, on this very podcast, Doc, as you know.
So socially, are you assertive, passive? How do you like to engage when there's like maybe 4 or 5 people chilling around? Are you the life of the party, or are you kind of more, a little bit more passive?
I like to try to engage people in conversation. I also like to crack some jokes, and I think I'm funny. At least in my mind, I'm funny. So I'm laughing without even other people laughing, which is quite unique and odd. I know for some people to view me and then I'm just laughing at my own jokes, my own self, without it maybe being funny for them. They might think I'm a weirdo, but I'm willing to kind of embarrass myself a little bit in public too, with cracking jokes and whatnot. And I'm very sarcastic, have a very dry sense of humor, as you've probably noticed throughout doing as many episodes that we've done of Tigers Talking Two Bad Hombres now, Doc, you and I together, that I have that sense of humor. So I think I express that in the environment of others, of family and friends too, and I think they like it, or most of the time like it enough at least. For me, I am more assertive. I like to assert myself vocally for people to know who the heck I am and what I have to say. And not that I'm brash or highly opinionated, but people kind of, I think, do get to know my opinions typically as well.
Okay, so what's your favorite holiday in the calendar year?
June 9th. It is Vito Churko's birthday. Very nice holiday. Besides for that, Labor Day is very nice, isn't it? You just brought it up. Memorial Day I do like. I don't really care about Halloween, if that's even, considered a holiday. Thanksgiving's very nice. I think Thanksgiving's my favorite, but Christmas is a close second. And I guess Easter. I got Easter there. I got a few holidays to consider, but I think Thanksgiving and Easter, I guess, are close to number one, and Christmas is a close two, though. So I guess, Thanksgiving's 1A, Easter's 1B, and then Christmas is 2. How about for you, Doc?
Well, first and foremost, we do have to preface that we always give thanks to those that serve, and we do understand the spirit of Memorial Day, and we always, if you follow us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, we always give reverence and we give special treatment to those that serve, and you can see it on our Twitter page. We always give thanks and appreciation, and we, highlight those that do serve. So Memorial Day, we understand the spirit of it, but we're talking about just celebrating nice days. The timing of it is just a tough thing around town.
Because it might not be nice weather.
Exactly.
Yeah, because in Michigan, you get all this topsy-turvy weather.
April, May are the most inconsistent. So for me, I really enjoy Labor Day. I really enjoy Thanksgiving and the Christmas time too. But I'm kind of noticing too, when I look at people's Instagram, a lot of people in Michigan do enjoy the water sports and they get out and about. I just haven't had an opportunity for me to spend an entire day on the beach because you got 2 little ones. It's just a little bit tough. So for me, it ends up being barbecuing, eating, and sitting around, the patio at the backyard.
You mean you're not taking your kids to Jobby Nooner or something like that?
Oh.
A raft off?
Have you been to Jobby Nooner, Vito?
To raft off. Do you know about that a little bit by Algonac?
Tell me.
It's Muscatmoot Bay. Almost forgot about where the heck it was. Close to Algonac in that vicinity at least. I think it's nice. Muscatmoot Bay, very nice. There's a little Muscatmoot, big Muscatmoot or something like that. So we've been in the little one, my buddy Nick Schmiegel and I. Here's a name drop, his first one on Doc and Jock, with me filling in for Adam Strozinski on vacation. So, yeah, for me, I like Muscatmoot Bay, the raft up. I think it's a very fun time, and it's about all these boats lined up, by the way, to explain it all. It's boats lined up with people, masses of people who are just there drinking, having a good time, and walking around in the water.
Very interesting. Maybe one day, if you ever invite me to Jobby Nooner.
If I ever invite you to anything, right? Anything, period. Maybe I would invite you to that, Doc.
Let's take our first time out. We'll come back. We'll have Greg Kampe, newly inducted into the Michigan Hall of Fame. We'll get his immediate reaction because the news broke on Tuesday, and we'll dial him up and see how he spent his offseason. Looking forward to his upcoming season in 2017 because a lot of big expectations for the now Hall of Fame coach. Doc here, I want to tell you about our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project in September of 2013, we were looking for a place to house our recorded audio, and we found Podomatic.com. And the reason why we stuck with them and have uploaded well over 500 to 600 podcasts with Podomatic is that they're very user-friendly. Customer service is outstanding. We have the ability to upload our audio within 5 minutes, and boom, we can share it with the rest of the world. Imagine, Vito, if we're trying to do a podcast and we're trying to grow an audience and we're trying to build loyalty and we give them a link and they can't find it. We'd have no audience. We'd have no support. People would be like, what's wrong with you guys? But through the help of Podomatic, we've been able to grow the podcast and have great success. So if you're looking to start a brand new podcast and you want to gain success and you want a user-friendly host site, check out Podomatic.com.
Some legends are told, some turn to dust or to gold, but you will remember me for centuries. Just one mistake.
On the phone with us, he is the head coach of the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, Greg Kampe. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to chat with us.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Anytime.
We heard the news on Tuesday afternoon that you were inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. Well deserved. How did you hear the news and what was your reaction?
Well, I got a phone call last week asking me if I would accept the nomination, and I said, let me think about it. Yes. I was very surprised, kind of shocked by it. I thought maybe they called the wrong Coach K, but it was very humbling news when you think about who's in that Hall of Fame. I mean, Al Kaline, who was my boyhood hero. I wanted to be Al Kaline growing up, He's in there, Gordie Howell's in there, Barry Sanders, Sparky Anderson, Trammell, Gibby, all the greats that have been my heroes, or people that I've admired and tried to be like. To get into a club or whatever you want to call it with them is a very humbling and gratifying experience.
Do you get a chance in the offseason to reflect on your career in coaching? Because I know when you're coaching during the season, you have a lot of goals, you have a lot of things that you got to do. But in the offseason, do you get a chance, especially with a call like this, to reflect on your coaching career?
I can't say you reflect on it because I don't think you do that till you're done. Right now the off season's about getting better next season. We think we might have the best team we've ever had, and how do we make sure we do, and the scheduling and, the player development and all those things. So you really never do that. When you get a call like I got, though, you step back and you take a big, deep breath and you realize how lucky you are that you've had a lot of great players and a lot of great coaches work for you. It's not something, at least it's not something that I walk around thinking about, or hoping for, or anything like that. It's so far off the radar, you just don't think that's going to happen to you. So you worry about trying to win more games. And so when you get a call like that, you really kind of takes your breath away.
So now you never thought about this happening to you in your lifetime, Coach, but where does this honor rank among the best accolades that you've achieved in your coaching career?
Well, I would have to think it's number one. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever, or even if I deserve to be in a place where the hallowed names of Michigan sports history are in that Hall of Fame. And, to step back and think that, somewhere on a wall, your name's going to be with the Barry Sanders and Al Kalines and, Hank Greenbergs and all the people that have made Michigan what it is, that somewhere on that wall is going to be your name too. I mean, it's a very, very rewarding phone call or a rewarding honor.
Now, at this point in time in the offseason, late May, early June, what goes into your preparation into the next upcoming season?
Well, we're still finishing up recruiting. We have one scholarship left. We have a visit tomorrow with a player we want really bad, a graduate transfer that could really make a difference on our team. He plays a position that I think is the one weak spot we have on our team with depth and experience. And so it's a big day tomorrow to see if we can try and wrap that up. And then if we do, I have my cancer event the following week. And then we get into camps. We have a very large team camp. We have over 70 high school teams come on our campus, and all the best players in the state of Michigan, and it's our chance to shine for them. They get to see our campus, and, we try and put out a really good show for them. So that's what May and June's about.
And now, speaking of recruiting, my alma mater is Detroit Mercy, so I've got to ask you the question.
Oh, you couldn't get into Oakland? What?
You know what? Maybe it was that. I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I don't think so, though, Coach, but I like the zinger. Thank you for throwing it my way. Now, so I've got to ask you, what do you think about Bakari landing 2 Macomb, Dakota studs in Jermaine Jackson Jr. and Jack Ballantyne?
Well, I think those are 2 really good recruits for Detroit. And, we want our league to be as competitive as our league can be. So we cheer hard for the teams in our league to, get up and improve and get better and increase their RPI and do that. So I think that's great recruits for that school. I think Jermaine Jackson has a chance to be a star in our league, and I think Ballantyne's a unique player. He's a big, strong, 6'9" kid that can handle the ball and actually play on the perimeter with the basketball. So he has a skill set that's very unusual, and I think he has a chance to be a really good player in the league, and I think that Jermaine's got a chance to be an all-league level player. So I think it's a great recruiting year for him.
How did you take the news that Velpo was leaving the Horizon League? What was your reaction when the news broke? Because it was a little bit surprising, and how are you thinking about the league going forward?
Oh, Babe Ruth's been dead for, 70 years, and they still play Major League Baseball. I mean, the Horizon League's going to flourish and be good, and we've got a lot of really good young coaches in the league. We've got a lot of schools that are making commitments to get better. And to lose Velpo is, hey, they made a decision that's best for their institution. Just like a few years ago when we left the Summit League to come to the Horizon, there was reasons that we did that. I'm sure there were some people in the Summit League that weren't happy that we did, but we did what's best for Oakland, and that's what Valpo's doing. So I haven't given it a second thought. I mean, I think preseason next year they probably would have been picked 4th or 5th in the league anyways, and I'm really focused just on next year. And the league itself, I think UIC and Northern Kentucky and Oakland are going to have, tremendous basketball teams. Wright State's going to be very good, and then there's going to be a sleeper team. It could be Detroit. I've heard that Hogan's gone. I've heard he's coming back. I really don't know. I mean, obviously, if he doesn't come back, that probably hinders them next year. But that'll give the young kids a chance to play more. So there's always a sleeper team that comes out of it that, is going to be good. And with Corey Allen and some of those teams, some of those players, it could be Detroit, but you don't know. Maybe Milwaukee. So the league's going to be really good.
Greg Kampe, Oakland University Golden Grizzlies head basketball coach, and now Michigan Sports Hall of Fame inductee. We'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the upcoming NBA Championship Series. You got the matchup everybody's wanted to see, the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. How do you see it shaking out, especially with one of your former alum there playing for the Cavaliers?
Well, we really want Cleveland to win because selfishly, I want a picture with Kay holding the World Championship trophy that we can send out to all the kids we're recruiting. So, that's a selfish thing on my part, but I really do hope they win for his sake. I think there's more money in it from the playoff standpoint if you're the champion, so that'll help him too. And we want to say we got a kid that played for the world champions. So, we're cheering hard for Cleveland. I do think Golden State probably is the favorite, but with LeBron James, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, are you surprised that, many of the pundits have said that they're picking Golden State in 4 and 5 games?
Well, Golden State is, what are they, 12-0 in the playoffs? So, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. I don't know that for sure, but I know nobody's ever gone 16-0. So I don't think it'll be 4 games just because history says that, but I do think until they get beat, they're on a hot streak, they've got momentum, everything's going great. They got the home court advantage. Although they had that last year and they didn't win, but who knows? I mean, it's going to be a great series. And again, from a selfish standpoint, we sure hope the Cavaliers win it.
Now, before we let you go, your efforts to battle cancer and your fundraising efforts have been well documented. For our audience, share with them what you've been working on. And you did mention earlier your upcoming charity event. Kindly share what's upcoming for you and your charitable event. I'd love to showcase that for you.
Well, thank you so much for asking, because it is an event that I'm very proud of. I have, coaches in this industry have really latched on to what we're doing here and have attended. And, you've had some of the Mount Rushmore names of college coaching coming into my event. This year, I have Izzo and Frank Martin, who led South Carolina to the Final Four. We have Bill Raftery, the voice of college basketball. He does the national championship game along with Jim Nance. Rick Barnes from Tennessee, among the coaches, the 10 coaches that I have coming in that we auction off. And our people that buy them get to spend a day with them. And we do a lot of things, which ends with a round of golf at Oakland Hills Country Club. And we're going to raise just under $200,000 for the 24 hours. The biggest part of it is the 10 coaches will visit the Children's Cancer Center at Beaumont Hospital. And we'll spend some time with the patients there and pictures, and we bring memorabilia and sign it and things like that. It's really, really a great 24 hours, and we'll be just close to $500,000 that we've raised in our time doing this. So my goal is eventually to get to $1 million, but right now I'm really, really pleased with where we're at. And let's just hope it doesn't rain next Monday, and we have a great day and everything works out.
Greg Kampe, thanks so much for your time. Michigan Sports Hall of Fame inductee. Has a nice ring to it. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts regarding the offseason, your program. We're going to definitely tune in to the Metro Series rivalry. Your club is a big part of it, big expectations. We look forward to having future chats as well.
Well, I'll come on anytime you want. I want to ask your partner, though, did the finals of the Metro Series, who won that this year?
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I like how you're throwing that in there. Very nice, Coach. I like how you fit that in there.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, Vito, how'd you like that jab from Coach Kampe? Now, Coach has been very, accommodating to us, having us out to the arena to chat about his program, about the ups and downs of the 2016 season. You've chatted with him before when Kay Felder was there. So you were the individual that kind of introduced us and me to the program of Oakland University and things like that, and for us believing that we could actually cover them. And so for us to cover them in 2016, myself included, you and Adam going out there and covering Oakland basketball, it really was eye-opening and a learning experience, and we couldn't have did it if Coach Kampe wasn't accommodating in the program itself for allowing us to interview his players, to kind of watch practice, and to allow us to follow his season. And it was an honor, and it was great. I look forward to the upcoming season in 2017 as well, and you definitely will provide great coverage for Detroit Mercy, I guess, the team that lost the Metro Series.
It did, and he threw a zinger at me towards the end of that interview, and rightfully so, and I liked it. I like that he can throw those punches at us, and we can take them. We do all right with them. I think you and I both do. Right, Doc?
So we have to ask the question, did you apply to Oakland, and did you not get it?
Never did. Come on, I would have gotten to know. I got into Detroit Mercy, man. It's a complete opposite of anything, Coach Kampe. Watch out, man. No, all in playful fun, and it was great he joined us.
And it was the day that he got inducted when we recorded the podcast, and he was very accommodating, always willing to chat with the Detroit Sports Podcast, and more importantly, too, his charitable efforts and the things that you can do. So you can follow Greg Kampe at KampeOU. What's up next, Vito? Who's on deck on the phone lines?
We have Branden Hunter, a freelance writer from Detroit who covers basketball, football, and prep. Everything. Prep sports all over Michigan, and especially in the city of Detroit, Doc.
Give us a nice tease. What are we going to be digging into with him?
We have to talk about the NBA Finals. That's Thursday this week when it starts, game one of the finals between the Warriors and the Cavaliers. Have to get him his thoughts on that, obviously, Doc. But also about the PSL a little bit, which is the Detroit Public School League, and its upcoming football season with Cass Tech, who just won it all, went 14-0, first undefeated season ever in its football program's history, and Cass Tech has done some great stuff before. And Detroit King, his alma mater, that is Branden Hunter's alma mater, Detroit King High School, who is coming off of 2 straight Division II football state titles. Will it three-peat this upcoming football season? We'll talk about all of that with Branden Hunter. And now, joining us on Doc and Jock is Branden Hunter, a freelance writer from Detroit. Branden, how's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Like you said, I'm always good.
He's always good, always ready to go, and always ready to talk hoops. And for this very podcast, we got to talk about the NBA Finals, okay? And the best hoops out there and best matchup the NBA could have gotten, in my opinion, as you have the same finals matchup for a third straight season. And now what we have is a best out of three possibility between the Cavaliers and the Warriors. And the Cavaliers came back, won it all last year. LeBron to win it in Cleveland, that was huge for that franchise. The Warriors obviously won it the first go-around. So now it is truly a best out of three. What does that mean to you as a hoops fan, this matchup as a whole, Branden?
Well, now it's a real rivalry now. We haven't seen two teams go 3 times in a row to the finals since it has been a long time. I kind of compare it to like maybe the Bulls and Jazz. They went back-to-back. A couple years ago, Lakers and Celtics went back-to-back. Lakers and Nets in the early 2000s. So now it's a real rivalry now. And you kind of compare it to those Bulls, Jazz rivalries, Lakers and Celtics, all these great players. And that's what we want to see. I know they dominate the league, both teams, but it's the best players that you can get from the NBA right now. And it's a great matchup. Like you said, they both split the 2 series last year and the year before. And, it's the best possible matchup that you can get from either team in the NBA.
Regarding their dominance, was it too much dominance? The Warriors cruising into the finals in historic fashion, going 12-0 in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, outscoring opponents by nearly 16.5 points per game. And the Cavaliers weren't too far behind at 12-1 with a 13.6 points differential through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. So is this dominance, Branden, from the Cavs and the Warriors, plus the obvious lack of parity from the rest of the league, a bad thing for the association?
You know what? It can go both ways. It can be a good thing because obviously you get the best teams, you get the best product, LeBron and Kevin Durant. It doesn't get any much better than that. But on the other side of it, it's the lack of quality games in the NBA. Especially with the Warriors just cruising through the first 3 rounds of the playoff, the Cavaliers as well, and the super teams, and what's going to happen. Back in October, we knew who was going to be in the finals. And it wasn't even a guess. You knew who it was going to be. And both of those teams just cruised through the season and cruised through the playoffs. So it could be a good thing because you're going to get the best of the best in June. But at the same time, the rest of the league is going to suffer. And you can pretty much predict what is going to happen. And that doesn't make it any fun.
Well, the buildup is lacking. You can sleep through the regular season and the entirety of the playoffs leading up to the finals, and you get to the finals matchup that we have now, which is great, and it'll result in astronomically high ratings, which is great for the league. But you see in the Eastern Conference, the Cavs weren't the 1 seed, and they blew out the 1 seed in the Boston Celtics. It was a joke. It was no contest against the Celtics, the 1 seed, who you would think would give the Cavs much more of a challenge than it did, which I think warrants the question. Were the Celtics the worst 1 seed in NBA history?
Remember 2 years ago, the Hawks, same thing, 1 seed and got swept by the Cavaliers, and they lost to the Golden State. So, I guess the Cavaliers don't really take the regular season seriously, which is kind of crazy because that never happened. So to them, that tells you like the seeding may not be important because the Cavaliers twice in a row that they weren't the 1 seed and still went to the final and swept the number 1 seed on the road in the conference final. So it kind of like what's going on when these teams don't have to take the regular season seriously. It kind of makes you wonder what is going on.
Yeah, it's a bad sign for the league. I really think it's a testament to the poor quality of competition for these squads in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. In order to save face, can the league afford to have this finals matchup happen again next season?
I mean, they definitely can, because you want to know why? Because we're going to tune in to watch. I mean, we love rivalries, and like I said, you get the best of the best. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. It doesn't get any better than that. All top 10 players on 2 teams. So, of course, people are going to watch. Now, the regular season and playoffs might suffer, but from the first week in June until the last week of June, hopefully we get that 7 games, everyone is going to be tuned in like the past 2 years. So June is going to be great for the NBA. Now, the rest of the other months, I don't really know unless you're a hardcore fan, maybe like myself. But something needs to be done about it because the super teams are great, but then again, they're killing the rest of the league because you pretty much know what's going to happen.
You're piggybacking on what Rob Parker said on the national radio show, the Colin Cowherd Show on The Herd. And what Rob Parker said was when LeBron James retires, he's going to leave the NBA worse than when he came into the league because of the fact that he was the orchestrator of the super teams, and he kind of opened the floodgates for these athletes to kind of form super teams to bunch up together. Do you agree with that notion that LeBron James actually hurt the league by deciding to leave Cleveland to go to Miami to seek his first NBA championship?
No, because the first super team was before that, maybe the Big Three of Boston. You can go back in 2005 when to 2004 when the Pistons beat Gary Payton. He's an old Gary Payton, but still Gary Payton, an old Karl Malone, Kobe, and Shaq. So the super teams go back before that. No, I don't agree with that. Maybe his decision to leave, maybe I don't agree with that. But free agency, you can do what you want. That's the beauty of the game now. You can go where you want to go. But I don't think that he leaves worse because he joined a super team because that wasn't even the first super team in the NBA. Pretty much, we could say the Boston and Big Three in 2007 was like the first super team of everybody in their prime come together, and they went to 2 titles and won 1.
Branden, speaking of decisions to leave, what did you think of Durant's decision to leave OKC for the team that beat him in the playoffs in last year's postseason? Because that's received a lot of backlash, too, for Durant.
When I think about it, I'm a Kevin Durant fan, and I love Golden State, so as a fan, I was all for it. But when you really think about it, as a competitor, no, I would not want to go to the team that beat me. I want to win. But then again, I see his reasoning for that. Playing with Russell Westbrook, it wasn't easy. The cast around him, the organization wasn't trying to put together a good team to be able to beat Golden State. So sometimes if you can't beat them, you got to join them. And he's done everything that's possible in basketball, all the scoring titles. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He won the MVP at a young age. And what's left to do for him, all the endorsements, his own shoe deal, what's left to do for him? He's only, 28? What's left to do? It's to win a ring, and that's what he wants to do. Sometimes it's not all about the money. It's about winning. And he felt he had a better chance of winning with Golden State, and he's proven that, and they probably will win the series against Cavaliers. So, no, I have no problem with that. It's a free country. You can do what you want to do. If a better job is offering better benefits or whatnot, you're going to take it, right?
And you know what?
I don't have any
you will.
problem.
You will. You're right, Branden. And LeBron James, did the same thing. Going to Miami. He won twice in Miami. Now has won once in Cleveland. He's 3-4 all time in the finals. And he beat a 73-win Warriors team last season, which included the first unanimous MVP in league history in Steph Curry.
Right.
So he could get to 500 in his finals career by beating Golden State this season, who's a heavy favorite. So for me, when I look at this and what he can do, LeBron, by winning this year and becoming 500 in the finals, it could cement his legacy as the best player of all time. Now, that might be blasphemy to some people that really love Michael Jordan, and maybe even to you, which is why I have you on this very podcast, Doc and Jock, Branden, because I want to get your opinion on this very matter. If LeBron wins, does he become the best player of all time?
I would put him up there. I would probably I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, so I would never put anybody above Michael Jordan because he was 6-0 in the finals. But if you look at numbers, LeBron definitely has a case for best player of all time, even if he has a 500 record in the finals. He's breaking his all-time score in points in the playoffs, all the MVPs he has, and that he will get, all the other records that he has. For being in the league since he was 18. And, yes, he definitely has a case for being number one. If somebody said that, I wouldn't get mad at you because the numbers back it up, and I love numbers. And he changed the game so much, just like Michael Jordan did on and off the court. But if I put my money on it, I'm definitely going to have to stay with Michael Jordan.
And Branden Hunter on with us on Doc and Jock this week. And Branden, what I also love about you is that you cover prep sports, basketball and football, and especially you go heavier, hard in the paint when it comes to PSL basketball and PSL football. And I know one of the teams that is very dear to your heart is Detroit King. And for some obvious reasons, for people that know you in your past, the football team is going for its 3rd straight Division II football title this upcoming season. I wanted to ask you, they've lost Ambry Thomas to U of M. Can they win it again? Can they three-peat this upcoming season?
From covering King, I'm well known around the program, really close to the program, so I know the keys of what's coming up in the stable. And I said last year was going to be the hardest title for them because they had a really young team, had Ambry and a couple other seniors, but everyone else was junior, sophomore, and freshmen. And if you look at that roster. And I said I thought it was going to be a hard game against Walt Lake Western because I had never seen them, but I was confident in King. And you said they won 18-0. So I said last year was going to be the hardest title for them to get. But it should be a easy breeze from here on out because they bring back so much especially with the young kids. And like I say, I really believe in King, and it's not just because I'm an alum, but because all the kids they put out and all the games they won. They lost 3 games the last 4 seasons, I believe. So yes, this year should be King should be right there at Ford Field again for the D2 title.
King doesn't lose much at all, and when it comes to Ford Field, they win a lot of those games too. And they have a tough first game, by the way, this season as part of the Prep Kickoff Classic playing Indianapolis Cathedral. That'll be something to see that game.
It will. And especially, and they go down to Toledo to play Catholic Central down there. And so they don't play Catholic, it's English. But those first 2 games will really show you, what they got for the state of Michigan if they can compete with those 2 out-of-state teams.
Now, I'd be remiss if we didn't ask about the hometown team, the Detroit Pistons. News broke earlier on Tuesday that maybe they would be willing to trade the number 12 pick for a proven veteran, a hungry guy ready to go. 2016-2017 season was really disappointing. They didn't make the postseason. They took a step back. Many people think the fans are apathetic regarding the Pistons, but they should get a jolt of life going back downtown and with this draft class coming up here in 2017. Do you think the Pistons should trade the pick? And what's your state of the Detroit Pistons at this point in time?
Yeah, I definitely do think they need a veteran player. I'm not really too, especially if we had a high pick, then okay. But I'm not really too convinced that these kids can come in. Especially, it might be another Stanley Johnson coming in. It's not going to really be a star for you, And that's what you need in this league. You need somebody who's going to be a star for you. And we thought that was going to be Andre Drummond. It wasn't. So now we need somebody else, who's still in their prime, who's willing to come here and play for us. Because, like I said, we can't compete, especially in the East, against LeBron and Boston, who have their superstars. So we definitely need that veteran player who's still in his prime, who's going to be able to produce for us, because we don't really have that in our roster right now. And I'm not too convinced that we can find that at our position in the draft class, even if it is a lottery.
And now back to the PSL, and PSL football specifically, and to Detroit Cass Tech, who dominated last year, as you know, went undefeated, 14-0 for the first time in school history, and had a great squad full of talent, but they're losing some talent to U of M and to some other D1 schools and the like. So what are their chances, Branden, in your opinion, of repeating as Division I state champs?
Cass Tech has been to the last 7, I believe, semifinals, so that's home for them. It's almost a guarantee. They have taxes and Cass Tech going to the D1 semifinals. That's just what's going to happen. They reload. They lose a lot, but they reload. Just like King, a lot of young kids coming up, a lot of transfers. And I know people get them grief about that, but that's where the kids want to go, is a good academic school. They send their kids to college. I always say high school is going to end one day. And for these kids, it's all about going to the next level. And there's no school that's better doing it in the Midwest period than Cass Tech. So Cass Tech is going to reload. It's going to be a tough out in Division I playoffs, and they're going to be right there again in the Ford Field, I believe. D1 is a little bit down this year, and Cass Tech is up even more than they were last year, probably. So you can guarantee they'll be right there at Ford Field again.
So it seems like, Branden, from what you're feeding me and my audience this week, Cass Tech and King have a very strong likelihood of winning again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. It's, like I said, it's going to get scary. It has gotten scary with they done, and their parents and the kids recognize that. Everybody want to be a part of a winning program, and they see the kids getting the big rings. King has 2 in a row. Cass has 3 in the last 5 years. So the kids, they see the kids going to college, and they playing these big out-of-state teams and at these big stadiums, and everybody talking King and Cass. Everybody want to be a part of that. So it's hard to compete with that in the city and around the state, because that's where all the kids want to go. So yeah, you can bet you can see Cass and King right back at Ford Field.
Now, Branden, speaking of getting rings, back to the NBA Finals. I'm not going to let you off the hook this easily. I've got to get your prediction now. Who do you have, and in how many games?
It's either everybody saying, Cavaliers. Golden State at 5. I'm like, no, I don't see it that way. I really don't. I'm gonna say 6. I'm going with Golden State again. They should have won last year. I'm gonna say Golden State in 6. I'm going to say Golden State in 6.
And now, if Golden State wins, do they cement themselves as one of the best teams in NBA history?
This team, yeah, I would definitely say so, especially with what they have on the roster. Draymond Green, who's a really, really, really good player. Klay Thompson, who could be a star on anybody else's team. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Yes, I would definitely put them up there as one of the best teams in NBA history. I definitely would.
Well, maybe.
And we definitely got to see how they beat Cleveland in convincing fashion, then most definitely. So we'll see about that.
well, maybe 4 Hall of Famers on this Warriors roster in Draymond, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. For me, at least 2 Hall of Famers in Kevin Durant and Steph Curry.
Right, at least 2 surefire Hall of Famers. So this is a big year for Kevin Durant. He only signed that 2-year deal, and he can opt out after 1 year. So I believe he will come back, no matter what happens. But if they win this one, then Golden State should have no problem holding on to him, and it could get scary for the coming years for the NBA with those 4 on that team.
And Branden, we can't forget to mention your Cleats for Kids initiative too. Talk to us about that, how we can get involved, and what it's all about.
Provide kids in the inner city with adequate footwear, football cleats for the upcoming Little League and high school season. I started that last year, and we raised about almost 200 pair of cleats last year, just donated. And this year we'll be giving out, and as well as accepting brand new and gently used football cleats this Saturday, June 3rd, from 9 to 3 at the Horatio Williams Foundation. That's near downtown Detroit. The address is 1010 Antietam, and we'll be there from 9 to 5, actually, collecting and giving away new football cleats to kids in need. So I want everybody to come on down and bring the kids on down so they can get new football cleats.
Branden, thank you for joining us here on Doc and Jock. Tell everybody where they can find your work and where they can find you on Twitter.
Oh, you can follow me on Twitter at just call me B Hunt, JUST, just call CALLME, and B Hunt, BHUNT. You can follow my work on MichiganPress.com. That's who I write for. Sometimes it's the DZone.net.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your efforts. Anything we can do at all, feel free. Tweet us at Detroit Podcast anytime at all. We appreciate your efforts. It's always nice to talk to those that are giving back, and we'll definitely check out your work. What's your website one more time?
MichiganPress.com.
Thank you so much, Branden. We appreciate your time.
Branden, thank you much. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right.
Very interesting chat. Cleats for Kids. Branden Hunter, freelance writer. Unbelievable chat, Vito. How'd you like sitting in the big chair, sitting in Adam's chair for Doc and Jock? You get to see the clout that we got. Boom. I shot out a message to Greg Kampe, and boom.
Got it done. Made it happen. And speaking of making it happen, once again, a plug for Branden Hunter, okay? This year's event, Cleats for Kids, is scheduled for this Saturday, June 3rd, at the Horatio Williams Foundation headquarters, located at 1010 Antietam. And it will run from 9 to 3 is what I got, he said, until 5. So starts at 9, and according to Branden, ends at 5 p.m. this Saturday. A great initiative and an event worth checking out, definitely, Doc.
Yeah, and you can check out at Detroit Podcast, our Twitter page, and I'm sure Vito will also, work to get some more information that we can pass along via that platform. Thank you so much, Vito. I appreciate the opportunity for you to fill in and sit in a big seat and see what it's like to host Doc and Jock, episode 199, the episode before the big celebration. Maybe we'll have a party, maybe we'll do something fun, but 200 episodes of this bad boy will be airing next Thursday.
So my question is, do you bring me back for episode 200? Or is this your way by bringing me in the episode before of making sure I don't come on to episode number 200?
Well, we'll see how we're going to plan this out. Adam comes back a little bit later this week, maybe around the time of the weekend. We'll figure out what we want to do. Do we want to keep it low-key? Do we want to be all about sports? Do we want to reflect on what the hell we've been doing here on this project? Or, how we're going to approach episode 200. But it's all in the works, as you got to wait for the Jock to come back, so I can't speak on that. But I do appreciate you coming on and seeing what it's like to have a nice conversation. So we definitely want to give thanks to Oakland Golden Grizzlies head basketball coach Greg Kampe, Branden Hunter, freelance writer, doing great charitable work as well. For Vito, Jerome, Churko, I'm the Doc, John Macaroon. It's been a hell of a podcast, Vito. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well, thank you for saying that and making me feel good about myself, Doc. Adios.
This was locker room talk.
Second dick.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.